The working memory, Module 6. The working memory is being able to hold information in your head long enough to do one of three things. Either you're going to use it, you're going to store it in a long-term memory process, or you're just going to forget or dump the information that you received. Let's look at a visual demonstration of how the memory and the information comes into your thinking capacity. So, according to the Baddeley and Hitch, the inputs that come in, visual or auditory, reach the sensory memory, and there is some delay. From there, you gain attention into the central executive, they call it, but we will consider it as the working memory, or in this course, the think bank. And then you have two areas, the visual spatial, which is dealing with the visual aspect, and the phonological deals with the inner speech, where you're actually talking and rehearsing over the information that you receive. And then from there, it goes into the long-term memory. So the process again, input comes in, whether it's verbal or auditory, into the sensory memory. From the sensory memory, it gains some attention. From the attention, it gets to the area of your working memory, where all these things are going on. You're trying to process the information. Some of that information is then transferred into the long-term memory, those that you care about, and can tie something together with it. And then it goes back to the working memory to be able to recall. And that's where the phonological loop and the phonological store come into place, because these are areas where the recall something that you are familiar with, you've tied something with it to go into your long-term memory. It can now be brought back to be used into your sensory memory. And there might be a delay or decay, but therefore there it is, and you can still remember how to do certain things from maybe middle school. So once we have seen the visual demonstration, let's move on to the three areas that deal with the working memory and how it's being used or function. So the information that you receive, are you going to use it or can be used? And when considering using it, it's an immediate decision, and here and now, of course, doesn't actually require the learner to go through any process. You see it, you just write it down. Like in class, it's just give me the answers. And so that's immediate, and then more than likely you're not going to retain any information because it didn't go through any type of memory process at all. And unless you do some type of processing with the information, it's pretty much decay or just not there. Our next thing that we can do with the information is dump it. And of course, dumping it will not even get close to the working memory because there's no motivation to engage. And there could be several reasons. One of them is a lack of understanding of the material in the first place and a lack of interest in the information that's being presented. When your students or learners are, as a learner, you're unable to see any connections between old information and new information. That's quite challenging. And then on the other hand, there are some students who are really talented and gifted and have learned the information before and just kind of are bored and are not really participating or active in doing any recall for the information or participating in classroom activities. Of course, at this course, we have to consider the fact that students could be hindered by the lack of the executive functioning skills, all of which may remain that we talked about before. And of course, in this one is the working memory or even how it works. So what do we do with the information? We store it. Okay, so this must go through our working memory, excuse me, to retain information. And as learners are attaching the new things to something they previously learned, it just kind of helps enhance the information that they're receiving that they can use in further or future scenarios, right? One way to do this is to create a story around what you're learning and also developing acronyms or associations. For example, I can still remember the phrase, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally to do math equations. So, and that was many years ago, and I still remember. So it does work if you use it, if you're interested. If you want to learn more about the executive function skills of the working memory, read Module 6 content and complete the module exercise 1 or 2 and complete the module assessment. Thank you.